Hey friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning into What Does It Take to Win. I was saying Happy New Year, but now we've entered into a new month. So Happy New Month. I hope the first month was good for you. I'm also praying that this next month will be even better and that the whole year of 2023 will just be a great year for you. I just wanted to remind you that I put out some brand new music at the end of October last year, 2022, on my birthday. The project is entitled Streams. It's like a classical album, classical/meditation album. So I want you to check that out. You can do so by clicking the link in the description. And there you'll also have access to some of my older projects, my other singles, EP, and some older albums. Also, if you're looking to take piano lessons or you're looking for a piano coach, you can book me. You can schedule some time. You can enroll into my private virtual course, or you can hire me as your piano coach. That's available by clicking, once again, the link in the description. Beats are still available. There are over 150 at this point that are available for you to download. You can use it if you're a content creator, a podcaster like myself. If you have a YouTube channel, anything that requires beats or instrumentals, you can do so. If you're a singer, rapper, etc., and you need some hot fire to put down your lyrics over, be sure to check out my beats. Also, I still produce. If you're looking for a producer, if you need to get your single done, your EP done, or a full-length album taken care of, if you need some mixing and mastering, or you just want to hire an engineer to make you sound a lot better, reach out to me. I do that as well. So you can do so by clicking on the link in the description. It's my link tree, of course, and you'll have access to all content and all of the resources that are available to you. That was a mouthful, as always, but I just wanted to make sure that you were well aware, just in case you may have missed some of the older episodes, that you're up to speed. Okay, so let's jump right into the topic of the hour, or the 15 minutes, like I love to say. And we're going to focus primarily on talking. So the title of this episode is simple. Let's talk. Okay, so let's jump right in. Talking is probably one of the most misused skills we possess. Now, growing up, I was the quiet kid. So if you are my peers and you grew up around me, or if you've been my classmate and, from probably kindergarten all the way into college, actually, past college, and you took a class with me, you'll remember me as the quiet kid. I did not like to talk. I didn't really like to be out there. And, I was smart. I had pretty high test scores and stuff, but I didn't like to talk. I like to sort of be in my own space and maybe observe and watch others do all the talking and stuff. But talking is probably one of the most misused skills that we possess. We either don't talk enough, we'll talk at the wrong time, we'll talk about the wrong things, or we simply talk way too much. In fact, if you remember a few episodes back, I did an episode saying to just shut up. Now, I'm not trying to contradict myself. I'm just trying to make you aware that there's a time and a place for everything. Maybe check out that episode too, and then come back and listen to this one. Like I said, there's a time and a place to speak and a time and a place to be quiet. So let's explore this talking thing a little bit more and check out the benefits that are attached to talking. As always, I like to share 3 points to consider. So the first point is talking provides relief. The second point is talking can be powerful. And the third and final point is that talking clears the air. So let's start with the first point. Talking provides relief. Now, we all face challenges. That's a part of life. Some challenges are a little bit more difficult than others, right? Let's think about this. Let's say you're dealing with a challenge that's bothering you so much until you're feeling stressed, you're feeling overwhelmed, helpless, to the point where you're shutting down. What's the first thing you want to do? Some may say quit. Some might say I want to hide, or something along the lines of that. Do not do that. That's not why we're here. But in many cases, we would actually just want advice on how to overcome the challenge. I know that's usually what I'm seeking. I don't always want to just throw in the towel. Sometimes, the challenge is a little bit more difficult than what I'm used to. And I might be like, man, I just don't feel like dealing with this today. But in most cases, I'd like some advice on how to overcome that challenge. So, if you want to receive advice on how to overcome a challenge or how to, defeat your giant, if you will, in most cases, you would need to receive that advice by talking. You'd have to talk in order to get advice. You have to speak to somebody and get advice. Now, it's cool that we live in the era of technology where you could simply turn on a podcast if you needed advice, kind of like this one. See what I did there? But honestly, your best bet would be to talk to somebody. Talk with them. There were times in which I was stuck and I was unsure on how to complete certain tasks. Although I'm pretty good at figuring things out on my own, it was much faster and easier for me to talk to somebody about it. I didn't have to stress myself or worry about running out of time or even running out of ideas. I would just sort of go to somebody who's a little bit older than me, but sometimes you could talk with somebody who's a little younger and get the perspective of the new generation. Of course, use your own wisdom when making decisions, but what I'm really trying to drive home here is talking is going to be very helpful, very beneficial. Let's take a look at counseling. Now, this is not the marriage podcast, but I thought this would be a good idea to share. So when couples are together for a while and they've decided that they'd like to get married, more than likely the couple would go through premarital counseling. And, there might be other activities that take place within the premarital counseling. There might be sort of, let's say, workbooks that are involved or just, activities, etc. I don't know, whatever you'd like to call it, maybe like go outdoors and do things as couples. But the primary focus of this premarital counseling, or any counseling for that matter, is talking. And the reason why the couples would talk during premarital counseling is to get to know one another, to provide, more safety for one another as well. And in the long run, this ends up providing relief, as this first point suggests. So pretty much you shouldn't be running into major surprises 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line if you spend enough time getting to know one another and spending enough time talking with one another. You'll understand each other's mannerisms. You'll understand when, your voices might rise a little bit, that you're either becoming angry or you're just passionate about what you're speaking about, and so on. It helps to provide more of a relief. Okay. So that was a little to the left. That's not a part of the notes that I had intended on sharing, but I hope that's helpful, especially, for those who are looking to be married. Talk to your spouse. Do the premarital counseling as well. So you can not only talk to your spouse, but talk to those who have been married for a very long time and just get an idea of what they did to preserve and to sustain a long-lasting marriage. Okay. So that's pretty much it for point number 1. Let's jump right into point number 2. And point number 2 is that talking can be powerful. Talking is a very useful tool in leadership. Whether you're in charge of a business, let's say you're a public speaker, a salesperson, or you're in the political arena, you have to be able to communicate using clear and concise language. Let's say you're in charge. You would need to be able to talk with your team in a way everyone can understand. I know, I play at church, of course, and often they'll have me directing the rest of the band. I need to be able to communicate with the band. Hey, we're going to play this right now, or we're going to sit and wait and watch what happens next and then start playing, or whatever the case may be. Just sort of have to be ready at all times to communicate clearly and concisely to the rest of your team. Let's say you're in a field in which mistakes can be very costly, like finance. I'm also in that field as well, finance, entrepreneurship, etc. Being able to communicate your strategy clearly with your team is crucial. And that way time won't be wasted on rework. If you're not familiar with what rework is, it's a term used when, let's say, you produce a product, but you did not take time out to make sure that all of the flaws have been carefully evaluated. So now you have to go back and redo that product. So that's like rework. At least that's what my definition is. If you want to go online and check it out, you could do that as well. But that's how I would define rework. Okay, let's take a step back to the power of talking. Let's consider public speaking, one of my least favorite things to do, if you know me. So according to ZipRecruiter, now you can correct them if I'm wrong because, again, I'm taking the information right from their website. So public speakers are annually on average making $102,133. Okay. That might not seem like a lot these days due to inflation, but imagine getting six figures to speak. That's pretty cool, right? You're allowed to share your expertise on a topic and you'll get paid handsomely to do it. And I believe that's because talking is also tied directly with influence. The way we speak, the words we use, what we say can actually end up influencing a generation. Look at slang. A lot of the slang words that we use was created by who? I don't even know. It was created by somebody. But the way we speak it's very influential. And that's why I say talking is so powerful. You'll have somebody or even a group of people listening to how either an individual speaks or another group of people speak. And the way they're talking is so powerful and so influential, they now want to speak like you. So I might wake up every day and say, today's going to be a great day and I'm going to be happy. And if somebody heard me say that, it could be powerful enough to influence them to begin to do the same thing. And they might share that with their team or their family or whoever they're connected with. And the snowball effect will just end up taking place. That's the power of talking. So that's pretty much it for point number 2. Let's move on down to the third and final point. And the third and final point is talking clears the air. Now, we live in an era of texting, emails, shorthanded typing, direct messages, instant messages, Facebook, Instagram, all sorts of social media. And many people still work from home, believe it or not, or, remotely. So if you have your laptop, you can work anywhere in the world. That's awesome. It's so easy to miscommunicate using any one of these tools. However, let's look at this. Have you ever been working and you read an email from a coworker, a supervisor, somebody who's higher up, and you believe that email had a negative undertone? You kind of took it to heart. You believe that they were sort of coming at you. Now, sometimes that does happen. Sometimes that can be the case. There are a lot of shady people in the workplace. I'm not going to even try to say that that's not true. But that doesn't always have to be the case. Sometimes they just aren't really good at communicating or the way our minds work. We might be looking for the emails or the shorthanded communication, the text, etc., to be negative. Sometimes the brain just works in that way where we will more quickly believe something negative than something that's positive. So they may have pulled you aside to talk about their email, right? So let's say somebody sent you an email at work, at your workplace. And then afterwards they said, hey, can we talk over lunch or whatever it may be? And they pull you aside and then they begin to say, so as I was mentioning in this email, this is what my feelings were. And, this is what I'm looking forward to. And these are some of the goals. And then upon hearing this, you might realize that, oh, okay, they didn't have any ill will towards me. This was not a negative email. I either mistook it or the way they worded it or typed it out it was a little different than what I'm used to reading and accepting. And that would have just cleared the air and blocked out any arguments or any future tensions that could have been brewing. I want to shift a little bit here and go from the professional side of things to personal life. So let's take a look at text messages and relationships, whether it's friendships or romantic relationships. Have you ever been in, let's say, like a group chat? I know I have. Have you ever been in a group chat and, you may have communicated something over to the group? You might have a different style of humor than most people are familiar with. And here's a sidebar. They tend to say people with a certain type of style of humor It has to do with like a higher level of intelligence. So I'm just going to put that out there. But have you ever been in a group chat and you may have said something that you found to be a little humorous, and somebody in that group chat didn't really like it and they took it to heart, and they may have made a big deal out of it and caused a major issue, all because of a text message? That happens all the time. Or let's say it's a romantic relationship and you are texting your significant other. Let's say you're in the dating stage, so you don't fully know one another like that. You may have been dating for a few months, and couples tend to argue or have disagreements here and there, which is perfectly normal and healthy. And you or your significant other will send that text message, and somebody's going to take offense to that. Not necessarily because what they said is offensive, but just the way this message was read. It could be an assumption that the undertone is negative, and from that, an argument can start. And depending on who you are and who your significant other is, that argument could just be quickly settled, or it could be something that's dragged out for a long period of time. This could be avoided if you just clear the air by talking. You pick up the phone, you call your significant other, and you say, "Hey, what did you mean by this text message?" Hopefully they are level-headed enough to explain and say, "Well, this is what I meant. I didn't mean to disrespect you or, present it in a negative way. I was just trying to speak to you, but maybe the text ended up ruining it for us." These messages, when they're in black and white, when they're in writing, there's no emotion attached to it. So you couldn't hear the tone of my voice or look me in my eyes and see either the passion in my eyes or the kindness in my eyes or whatever the case may be. So again, that's why it's most important to talk. It clears the air. That way the confusion won't arise. You won't end up beefing with your significant other or anybody for that matter, because you're able to see how their mannerisms are. You're able to hear the tone of their voice and ultimately just feel the emotion behind what they are saying when you're speaking. And last but not least, this is just like an additional nugget. You can't talk to everybody. I may have said this in a previous episode. I can't remember because I've done so many, which is also a blessing. But you can't talk to everybody. You have to use your own discretion to pick and choose, honestly, who's safe to speak to. Because while you might be talking to somebody, and this goes for just sort of opening up and, sharing with them some of your concerns or even just your everyday life, sometimes these listening ears don't always have your best interest at hand. So that's why I recommend talking to family or very close friends that you believe and you feel that you can trust. People who are just noble and trustworthy are the best people to talk to. So that's an additional nugget. It's not quite a point, but I just wanted you to take that into consideration. And that was our final point. I hope this is beneficial to you. I hope you'll begin to use your voice a little bit more and not just talk whenever you feel like blabbering, but to really be intentional about speaking and, just conversing with one another or even communicating your ideas and your goals. So let's do a quick recap of the 3 points. The first point is that talking provides relief. We all face challenges. Hey, that's a part of life. Sometimes you just need to talk it out. The second point is that talking can be powerful. You can influence a generation by what you say. If you're a leader and you give concise and clear instructions, your team will be unstoppable. And the third and final point, talking clears the air. Now, we live in an era of texting, emails, shorthanded messages, etc. Just because it's in black and white does not mean that there's any type of emotion attached to it. Let's make sure we clear the air and just talk it out. Thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope it blessed you and I hope it encouraged you. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to share this. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with people you don't even like. Share it with that person who keeps bothering you for advice. I got you covered. And lastly, if you'd like to connect with me, just click the link in the description for all of my content. I have some great things in store for you. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.